coming from Cade Financial. When he comes, I'll step aside, let him talk to you a little bit. As you know, or may not know, we are switching pension plans. So we just want to give you a little heads up that will roll over 1/1. And he'll kind of explain that to you. So otherwise, we are covering a lot. So welcome, thank you for coming. We thank you for all your hard work. We do truly appreciate everything that you do. We always have to remember why we're here, and we're here for the residents. And that means Abby's here for the residents as a housekeeper and laundry person. Trish is here for the residents as a CNA. Lynette is here as activity, and Jeannie's here taking care of the financial end of things. So this is related to caregivers, but you're all caregivers because ultimately every part of your job relates to that resident, and we want to make sure that we're giving them number one. So I have a letter from Debbie Tewalt, who is our CEO. She wanted to update you with a few things, so I'm just going to read that. It covers several different areas. So we're going to start with the nursing home. As you know, we are working hard to improve the quality of care to our residents and help to make Bethel a great place to work. It's important to realize, however, that this is a process that cannot be accomplished without your help. Please let us know if there are any areas that can make our care better and your jobs easier. This past month, the board made a decision to decrease our bed capacity from 85, which is what we are currently at with both floors, down to 57. So down to 57 would mean we would just be licensed for one floor, or that's what we can hold on the second floor where we're at. This is a logical and positive change in that it will save us money because we have to pay the state of Wisconsin a set fee every month for every licensed bed. Secondly, it will now allow us to look at what opportunities renovation of the first floor can bring. As you know, this used to be, or some of you may not, this used to be our memory care area right here. 3 years ago, we built the first building for memory care, Bethel Oaks. And then this past year, we built another one. So our census looks different in the nursing home, but our census is still there. It's just at Bethel Oaks. We upped it so that that whole facility was built to take care of memory care residents and to make sure that we're meeting their needs above and beyond. So I know some of you feel sad because this floor is empty, and obviously we would like it full, but our census is still there. It just looks different than it used to 5 years ago, and that's okay. It should. We need to be changing. That's the one thing I'll promise you that's going to keep happening is we're going to have to keep changing. We're going to have to keep listening to what the people want in their long-term care. Bethel Home and Services Board will be entering into some strategic planning to help our organization to develop a vision of where we want to go in the future. It is a very exciting time for Bethel Home and Services. Starting in January, we will be making some improvements in the front lobby. It was felt that this was an important area and that it's the first part of Bethel Home that our guests see when they stop for a visit. Also in the plans will be efforts to improve the overall look of our hallways and resident rooms. When we move into this part of the plan, we will be gathering input from our staff and our residents. So stay tuned. So that'll be exciting. The first phase will be the front lobby, and then we'll move to the resident rooms. Next, Bethel Birchwood Prairie. If you are not familiar with Bethel Birchwood, we have independent housing units for people 55 and older that can purchase. They're like a townhouse, right? I haven't been inside one, but they're like a townhouse, but it's independent living. We maintain the building and the outside of the building, but people can use that. So we currently have 30. We are building an additional 20, and that's down below Bethel Oaks, if you drive down in there. These units are similar to our current Birchwoods on South Street in that they are private dwellings that provide independent housing. Bethel Birchwood is a separate corporation from Bethel Home and Services, but they are part of the Bethel family. So just so you know that is separate. Bethel Oaks As we review our activities this past year, we are pleased to acknowledge the growth in our memory care home, Bethel Oaks. Unfortunately, there is an expanding need for secure, specialized programming for those with memory loss. So the addition of 14 additional beds will ensure that we have a place for those in need. If you have not been down to Bethel Oaks, you need to go down there. It is a state-of-the-art facility for memory care. It is exceptional. So go down and ask Sean or Melissa for a tour or walk through it. It really is nice. And then last but not least, improvements at Maplewood, which is our assisted living. As with improvements in the nursing home, we continue to make strides to keep our Maplewood Terrace the lovely place to live that it is for our tenants. This past year, we replaced aging kitchen cupboards, replaced flooring in the adult daycare, which is called Care Cove, and we are in the process of renovating the beauty salon. So come for a visit. Thank you for all you do, and Merry Christmas, Debbie T. Walt. So each of you received a button. We have talked about core values before. On this button is listed core values. I encourage you to wear the button. If you do not want to be puncturing your clothing, there is a way to get it through your button without covering up your name tag. I can help you with that. But I really encourage you to wear that with your name tag. We all need to be reminded of what our core values are here. And when we make decisions and how we treat people and their residents, we need to be looking at our core values and reminding ourselves of that each and every day. So I truly encourage you to wear that. So we have teamwork, respectfully caring for each other and those we serve, respect, humility in our successes, and grace in our challenges. Be the first one to say, that was me, that was my fault, I'm sorry. Or, I apologize, I said that in the wrong way. Always offer grace when somebody is having a tough time. But on the other hand, be willing to bring up those tough situations too so that we can address them. Who comes first in this organization? Residents. Residents. Not that you don't matter, but if we're not taking care of our residents, we don't have a job. So we need to take care of our residents. Integrity, honesty and integrity in all of our interactions. If I truly know that I forgot to give Aunt Ethel her medicine and I try to hide that, that's not in the best interest of that resident. I need to go to my nurse and need to say, I messed up. Or I forgot to bill Candy. Can you help me out with this? Or I forgot to let somebody know they're eligible for health insurance. Let's fix it. Carolyn always tells me, most things are fixable. Just come to me.
And the worst person to tell is probably the resident. Now, if you hurt or injured a resident, apologize, say it. But if I left somebody on a bedpan and I went home and then the next shift comes on, you don't have to throw your coworker under the bus. Definitely tell your supervisor, tell the nurse, tell me, tell our interim DON, tell anybody, and we'll try to correct that action. But the resident cannot do anything about it, and that just makes them more upset.
Upsets them.
It just makes it worse. So please, take it to the right person.
Yep, absolutely. Generosity, being thankful for and sharing our opportunities and our blessings. We are really blessed to work with these people. In orientation, I always say, we do not make pens at Bethel Home and Services. Not that making pens is not important, but we don't make pens. We deal with live people. That truly makes what you do, whether you're doing their hair or you're doing their billing or whatever it may be, you truly are important and you need to take ownership in that and truly engage yourself in that. The fact that if I don't come to work today, a resident is affected by that. If I come to work today, a resident can be positively affected by that, by your smile, by your hug, by your encouraging word, whatever it may be. And then learning. As I said before, everything's going to change, I'll guarantee you. Life is about change, so you can either embrace it or you can fight it. But it's much better to say, okay, we may have tried that in the 80s and it didn't work, but let's try it again and see what happens. Or voicing your opinion, but then if we don't take that as the best decision, not getting upset with it. Always knowing that we're going to try new things and different things to try and make it better for the resident. Okay, we have a video. Whoops. I went dead. Give me a sec. And it might blare, so. reminder of resident rights, abuse and neglect. Just truly the importance of everything that we do. I think all of you that are in attendance here know resident rights, abuse and neglect very well. You could teach me probably better than I can teach you, but I like that video. So if you look at your white sheet and turn it over to examples of resident rights. Anybody here uncomfortable reading out loud? Okay, so we'll just skip by you. So Michelle, if you'll start with number 1, we're just gonna read right through them, and we'll.
Okay, read
Oh, okay, yep, we'll skip you. Yep, go ahead.
Communication, make and receive phone calls, letters, emails, texts, and et cetera privately.
Yep. We're skipping.
I mean, are
Okay.
we skipping her?
Skipping, yep, go ahead.
Okay. I can't read very good, so I've got my
Got your
glasses.
glasses.
Confidentiality, maintain confidentiality of health and personal information and records. Residents may approve or refuse release of information to any individual outside the CBRF.
The CBRF would be our Bethel Oaks, our memory care facility. Greta?
Freedom from labor, not be required by the provider to perform labor that is financially beneficial to the provider. Personal housekeeping may be required for therapeutic purposes if identified in the resident's individual service plan.
Freedom from mistreatment. Be free from physical, sexual, and mental abuse and neglect, and from financial exploitation and misappropriation of property.
Freedom from seclusion, be free from isolation or separation.
Freedom from chemical restraints, be free from medication used to restrict the freedom or movement of a resident without practitioner order.
Freedom from physical restraints, be free from physical restraints that restrict the freedom of movement of a resident without a practitioner's order.
Receive medication. Receive all prescribed medication in the dosage and at intervals prescribed by a practitioner. Retain the rights to refuse medication unless court ordered.
Prompt and adequate treatment, receive the correct treatment in a timely manner.
Treatment options. Participate and be fully informed in the planning of care and treatment options. Retain the right to refuse care or treatment unless court ordered.
Self-determination. Make decisions relating to care, activities, daily routines, and other aspects of life which enhance the self-reliance, autonomy, and decision-making.
Least restrictive environment. Have the fewest restrictions necessary to meet the purposes of a resident's admission without curfews, rules, or other restrictions to a resident's freedom of choice.
Recording, filming, photographing, not to be recorded, filmed, photographed without written consent. This is truly important, and we cover this in orientation, but most of you have been here quite a while, that your phone is not part of your uniform. And so the only people that should be taking pictures is activities, or Amanda sometimes comes out, sometimes Greta or I come out. That is okay, but let's say I'm snapping somebody and you are the residents, but I'm over here, I don't care about you, but I'm snapping myself to my friend who's in the background. The resident is. It's not okay. You actually jeopardize your license by having your phone on you. If you were in a resident's room and a call light was on, that's neglect. So we truly cannot encourage you to leave those phones in the bags and in the locker rooms so that they're not on your bodies. Okay? Michelle.
Safe environment, live in an environment in which residents are safeguarded from environmental hazards.
Physical and emotional privacy, receive privacy and treatment, living arrangements, caring for personal needs, etc.
Present grievances, make complaints to a facility staff, public officials, any other person without fear of retaliation.
We're going to watch a video on that as well, but because we're their caregivers, there is a fear based that if I present a grievance on the CNA that's taking care of me or the RA that gives me my medication or whatever, that they're not going to take care of me. Really recognizing where they're coming from. For me, I look at every resident as my mom. So you need to think of somebody that you hold high, close to you, and would you want your mom waiting for her medication? Would you want your mom, having a dirty room? Would your mom want your mom in dirty clothes or not having her hair done? Whatever it may be, put your loved one or yourself in that situation, and it truly helps you to think, ooh, I don't like this. I want that changed. Who are we on? Pete?
Manage own financial affairs. Resident may manage the financial or delegate the responsibility to the facility or another person.
Be fully informed of facility services and fees. Be informed about all services and fees upon admission or during the resident's stay.
Be treated with courtesy and respect. Receive full recognition of the resident's dignity and individuality.
And this is where I really add what Pete said, that talking to the resident about incidents or things that happen is not okay. We need to make sure that we are not doing that. It's easy to, because we develop relationships with them and friendships with them, but to share with Susie Bluesy that Tricia didn't take care of Joey Blowy does not help. That just upsets both residents, so that's not okay. Don't discuss that. Other residents care with certain residents. Okay, so these are very easy, but need to be reminded. Common violations of resident rights. Tell me what's wrong with this picture. Caregivers were told to wake the resident by 4:30 a.m. for showering and to have resident dressed and move to the common area by 5:30 a.m. What's wrong with that picture?
Not their choice.
Not their choice. What part of it was not their choice?
What time to get up?
Yep,
Do they
what
wanna shower
else?
then?
If they want to shower, what else? What clothes do they want to wear? Even our residents that can't speak, you should be talking to them and saying, you know, wow, you just got this beautiful new sweater. Would you like to wear it today? They may not be able to say yes or no, but at least you're engaging them in that whole process. And I know you guys are busy, but it means a lot to engage them in that process. And once again, they do have choice. If I know a lot of times it's really helpful if the night shift can help get people up, but we need to make sure we're only doing that for the residents that want to be up that early. We can't just go through and get everybody up so first shift has an easier job. So really paying attention to that. Staff placed a resident in a mechanical lift chair in a reclined position and unplugged the chair to keep the resident from getting up on her own. The resident was found on the floor in front of the chair with head injuries requiring 2 weeks in the hospital. What's wrong with that picture?
It's a restraint.
It's a restraint. They unplugged the chair. What else? They obviously didn't go back and check on that person. She ended up getting out of there and falling on her head. So I know we put people in recliners that can't get out of them, but we certainly should not be leaving them there all day long. A lot of our residents enjoy being able to get out of the wheelchair and sit in a recliner. I like that part. But if I see that resident in that recliner at 2 o'clock and I know I saw them there at 10, I should probably say, can somebody reposition this resident or get them up into another one or take them for a walk or whatever it may be. Okay? A resident was observed taking a bath with the bathroom door open in view of other residents. Privacy. Yeah. And we need to make sure that we're pulling the blinds when we're doing personal cares. Even when we're taking a resident to bath, that they're fully draped and feeling comfortable. And I don't think any of them feel comfortable going wheeling down, but as long as they are completely draped. Yeah, shirts, you know, that get pulled up, that we're taking the time to pull those shirts down and so that the skin is not showing. A caregiver took a photo of an elderly female resident seated on a toilet and uploaded the photo to the caregiver's social media page. The caregiver stated she wanted her friends to see what she had to put up with at work. Everything about that whole picture is wrong. Do you want me to take a picture of you on the toilet and put that on social media? Probably not. That person should not be working in long-term care or in any type of caregiver. You don't have a caregiver heart if you think that's okay. If I think about it, I'm going to come and spend the day and night at your house, and I'm going to go through your medicine cabinet. I'm going to meet all of your family. I'm going to look at everything, watch your behaviors, the whole works, and then I'm going to post everything about that and go to Walmart and tell everybody what I see. Do you want me to do that? We work in their home. This is their home. We work in their home. This is not, they live in our workplace. So always remember, this is their home. We need to treat it with that. Okay, abuse and neglect. On the other side, you have, which talks about abuse and neglect. The big thing with abuse, the abuse is defined as the willful infliction of injury, unreasonable confinement, intimidation, or punishment with resulting physical harm, pain, or mental anguish. The key word in there is willful. Was I setting out to intentionally harm this resident? I'm just going to transfer her without a gate belt. I don't want to put the gate belt on. Yeah, that's kind of intentionally trying to hurt the resident. I don't have time to use the lift, so I'm just going to pick her up and throw her into bed. That's neglect. You cannot do that. You are going to hurt somebody. Now let's say I am transferring a resident with a gate belt and they go down on me. That's not abuse. That's not neglect. That can happen, and you just do your best to hold the resident up. We truly want to pay attention to that. So there's several types of abuse. Verbal abuse includes, but is not limited to threats of harm, saying things to frighten a resident, or telling them that they'll never be able to see their family if they don't do this. You better get dressed or I'm not taking you to breakfast. You better take your medicine or else you don't get your chocolate milk. We really want to make sure that we're not intentionally trying to force them to do anything, that we're trying the approach. It's a hard issue. We're trying the approach with a caring attitude. Sometimes we do have to use a little bribery, which is understood, but I'm not going to threaten them that I'm not going to do something if they don't listen to me. Physical abuse, hitting, slapping, pinching, kicking. Mental abuse, humiliation, mocking them, making fun of noises they make or things that they say. Harassment, threats of punishment, abuse that is facilitated or caused by the staff, taking pictures and posting them. Neglect. Neglect is a gray area, very hard to define. Neglect, once again, look at intention. If I intentionally knew that this resident was soiled and I was like, you know what, I've had enough of that resident, he can sit and wait for me. That is neglect. That is not okay. You knew that that resident needed help. Or if it's like, I'll be right with you, resident A, right after I finish resident B, you know. Or you go and get somebody to help you take care of that resident. That's not neglect. You know that they're soiled, but you're going to get to them as soon as you possibly can. It's an intentional omission. It's walking by and being like, I've answered enough of his call lights. I'm just going to go in and turn it off and walk away. Let somebody else deal with it. Not okay. Then misappropriation of resident property, basically stealing. So Susie Bluesy loves to give you a piece of candy when you're working. That is fine. Thank you, Susie Bluesy. I appreciate that. But I forgot my lunch today. So I decided to go into Susie Bluesy's room and take all of her candy and eat because I was hungry. That's theft. That's not okay. You can't do that. You know the candy's in there, but you can't just help yourself. If she offers it to you, that's okay. And then exploitation is basically taking advantage of a resident, client, or tenant for personal gain through the use of manipulation, intimidation, threats, or coercion. Questions on any of that? Once again, you got the shortened version there. You can keep that white sheet if you want to. I know most of you know it, so if you don't want to, when we're done, you can turn it back in for the next group. But I think it's kind of helped to be able to hear and see what we're doing. Next thing we're going to cover is dementia. Dementia reduces a person's ability to deal with stress. By keeping the environment as free of stressful conditions as possible, we will often be able to reduce the number and intensity of difficult behaviors. The majority of our residents here at the nursing home have some form of dementia, or on the other hand, they are a rehab that they're coming in and they're going out. Obviously, Bethel Oaks is all dementia related. Assisted living, there's some and not so much, but we want to be trained to know how to best handle the situations. So you need to get to know the person behind the dementia. It's really helpful when I work as a unit assistant. I, for instance, know that Ron used to milk cows. Well, I grew up on a dairy farm, so I talked to Ron about milking cows. We're going to get up at 5 o'clock, and by golly, we better be in that barn, and we better have the cows fed before Dad gets down there, or we're going to be in trouble. And then the other residents that were on the farm will come over and start talking to us about what color cows did you have, or what color horses did you have, Jeannie, and so you take that, but it's getting to know those residents, and some of us don't have access to that information. I just happened to bring up the fact I grew up on a farm because I would assume a lot of the people in this generation did. He happened to jump on board with that, and so we take it and run with it anytime I'm in and talk to him. So get to know them. People with dementia usually function better with a simple, regular routine. Avoid too much noise, too much activity, and too many people. We also want to make sure that we're not having TV shows on that show violence or shooting or killing or disasters. To them, that's real life, and it scares them. So we always want to make sure whatever the TV is, whatever it is playing, is making sure that it's conducive to not overstimulating our resident. When you are dealing with a resident, you want to make sure that you begin by identifying yourself. Even to our residents that don't move, you need to go up and say, "Hi Dale, it's Jeannie. You know, do you need anything?" He hasn't spoken to me ever, but he still needs to know that I care. What does he need? And that you go up and talk to him. One of the residents' husbands, I always greet his wife, and he said, "Thank you for always greeting Natalie. It means a lot to me that you don't just walk by her and greet me." So greet the residents, even though the mind may not work, the heart always works. They know who loves and cares for them, and that heart's going to keep working right up until the end and know who truly loves them. If you're approaching a resident, make sure you do it from the front so you don't frighten them. You could get a fist in the face. You could get a lot of different things if they don't see you coming. Encourage them. If they're struggling with a word, offer a word to help them. Don't let them sit and struggle. Use short sentences and simple words. Speak slowly. Give a resident plenty of time to respond. And don't criticize or argue. "Oh, you know your husband's been dead for 20 years. Quit talking about your husband." Not appropriate. That is not okay. Jump into their world. "Yep, he'll be coming soon." Or, "Yes, your husband truly loves you." Jump in with them where they're at. Meet them where they're at. Keep your tone of voice pleasant. Some of us, when we get in a hurry, myself included, can raise my voice a little bit more, or I'm very nonverbal. So I might be taking care of resident with the sweetest voice possible, but my face is contorted, you know. Not okay, they pick up on that. Make sure that you're not looking like, "Oh, I do not want to do this," when you're taking care of them. They can definitely pick up on that. Questions on dementia? Nope, okay. Aaron, you okay with sitting tight, or do you want to go? Okay.
You're the boss.
Okay.
Good morning, Kathleen. Thank you for agreeing to our interview.
You're welcome.
How long have you lived here?
Oh, I'm turning on
Channel, sorry.
Let's see, I guess it's almost 2 years now.
And how do you feel about your living arrangement?
I guess I'm used to it now. I got started off on the wrong foot, so it took some adjusting.
Can you talk about that time?
My first day here. My daughter brought me straight from the hospital. It was late in the day. They took me to my room, and there was a bed that wasn't made up or anything. I was so tired and thirsty. I just had to sit in a chair for a while until they got my bed ready, and then they finally brought me some water, too. My roommate didn't say a word to me. She didn't even look my way. And the staff didn't say much to me either. They were so busy working. I didn't feel very welcome. In fact, I felt like a bother. You know, it was awful, really. I didn't feel at all welcome in my new home. I had a tremendous feeling of loss to begin with, and then my introduction to my new place was so unfriendly, I felt completely hopeless.
You said you had a feeling of loss.
Yes. That's because you feel like you have nothing left. It's hard enough to get by with my disabilities and complications. When you have someone taking care of you who isn't kind, it just takes away all your hope. I really don't like having people take care of me. I've always managed to take care of myself. At first, I didn't feel like I could even make my own decisions or choices about anything.
Can you give me an example?
Well, when I first got here, they took me to the activity board in the hallway where all of the activities are scheduled. One day, the CNA insisted on taking me to play bingo even though I said I didn't want to go. With my rheumatoid arthritis and my vision loss, I can't see very well or handle the game pieces. I told the head nurse about it, and she said she would talk to the CNA. Later, the CNA came into my room and asked me if I'd complained about it. You don't want to be put in that kind of position, especially since I depend upon the staff for everything.
How did it turn out?
Well, when I explained to the aide that I was a little embarrassed about playing bingo because of my rheumatoid arthritis and my vision, she apologized. She said she'd never thought of it that way. The aide's name is Nancy, and she still works here, and she's been really kind to me ever since. You know, I think that's the most important thing for staff, to have empathy, to be really able to walk in our shoes. None of us really wants to be here. We'd much rather be living in our own homes, surrounded by our own belongings, and making our own decisions and choices. I just ask that people treat me the same way they would like to see their own family treated, their mother or grandmother. They don't have to love me, they don't even have to like me, but they should honor my dignity and support my decisions and choices. That's all I ask. Really, that's all any of us ask.
Thank you so much for sharing your feelings with us today.
You're very welcome.
So that's a good perspective on somebody who's coming into assisted living, memory care, even adult daycare, or the nursing home. They have given up something, and it's their independence, and none of us want to do that. And that can even be having to rely on Candy to answer the questions on their bills. They don't want to. So it's really important that Candy handled that really well. It's really important that when we're cleaning their rooms, that we don't make them feel bad that we have to clean their rooms or do their laundry, that this is, you know, okay for us to do this for you. But they're used to doing that themselves for the most part, and that's an independence that they gave up. We really want to make sure that we're focusing on person-centered care. And that means that I don't treat Jeannie like I treat Rita, because they're two different people. I have to get to know Jeannie, and I have to get to know Rita to be able to help them with a person-centered care. That may look very different. What makes Jeannie happy could really make Rita upset, and it's important that I take the time to get to know them. So you want to think of who is involved, what is happening, where is it happening, when is it happening, and how is the resident behaving every time that there's an incident or a difficult situation. Review those things and try to come up with, could the person be lonely, confused, sad, scared, angry, in pain, and they can't vocalize that? Maybe they're hungry or thirsty. As she said when she came in, I've never thought about it, but typically we can see the resident is exhausted and they're ready to lay down. But I've never thought about the fact they could be thirsty. So we need to make sure we're offering them. Would you like a drink, water? Would you like a snack or something to eat? And then make sure that we pass that along. If I know that at 4 o'clock, they have always had coffee and cookie, and it's a tough time for them, offer that coffee and cookie to them at 4 o'clock, but let your coworkers know that that'll really help them get through that difficult time. So person-centered care is truly important, that many residents in our care, especially those with dementia, have difficulty expressing their needs. So a lot of time their behaviors, their anger, their frustrations are because they have a need, but they're not able to express it. It's not because I just do not like Jeannie, so I'm gonna give her a rough time today. No, that's not what it's about. So really really considering that when you go into it. The last thing that we're gonna talk about is customer service. And you have a code of conduct, a blue sheet there, that basically you make a commitment to not only the resident rights and abuse and neglect, but to provide the best customer service. Some of you may know that my mom was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had to go through treatment. And so she did her treatment through Gunderson Lutheran. Her last treatment was last Tuesday, and when we got into the car, she said, I am really gonna miss this. I looked at her and I said, are you kidding me? Who misses going for cancer treatment, Mom? And she goes, well, I guess I'm gonna miss the people. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? Having to go for cancer treatment is something none of us wanna do. But moving into the nursing home, assisted living, memory care, not too many people are like, yeah, great, I get to leave my home. It's not something they really want to do, but they have to. So what Mom was missing out on was the customer service that those people gave her. She was going to miss that treatment. That's how we need to face each and every day. Every morning when we walked in, hi Jeannie, hi Florence, they knew my name. I don't have cancer. They knew my name. When we left, you two have a great day. Very positive. When the nurses or the MAs, whatever, would come out and meet with us, they would always be like, now did you two really go shopping yesterday? Did you take your mom to Olive Garden like you promised? They remembered key things about what was happening. That meant a lot to us. That meant they cared. If something was happening back with the doctors, they'd be like, Jeannie, you need to come back. You need to be in on this and hear this. They took me back. They involved me. They asked questions. When Mom got released from her care, they hugged her and they wished her well. And we need to, as Kim Barr and I always say, raise the bar. You guys are exceptional at customer service. Let's raise it another step. Make sure that when visitors come in, you're greeting them. When they're leaving, thanks for coming. Even the residents, families that come every day, sometimes we just get used to them being here. Thanks for coming, Chuck. It's good to see you, you know. And he made the point to me one time that I always greet Natalie. He said, thank you. Thank you for not just greeting me. Thank you for greeting Natalie. It's important to that caregiver, that spouse, or a significant other, that we're still recognizing their loved one, even though that loved one can't recognize us. Make sure we're going out of that way, so that when that family member passes, or when that family member gets releases from rehab, or gets to go back to Oaks, or Maplewood, or come here, they leave Oaks, that we're embracing them, we're gonna miss you, and that they're gonna say, wow, I'm gonna miss having this experience, because I'll guarantee you, none of us want the cancer journey, and none of us really want this journey. But if we do have to face that, let's embrace those people and make it the best experience that we can, okay? So, on your blue form, this basically says that you are committing, like I said, to the resident rights, to abuse and neglect, to your attitude being right, to stopping the backbiting and the gossip. If you hear it, that's not what we're here for. What good is that gonna do for the resident? Nothing. If you have an issue, you go to your supervisor. You go to the person that can fix it. If I'm not the person that can fix it, go to the person that can. Ultimately, as HR, you can always come to me, but you should go to the person that can fix it. We want to make sure we have a safety, safe culture, and that we're not only offering dignity and respect to our clients, but we're doing that to our coworkers as well. That we're not talking out in the hallway about Susie's behavior. We're not talking behind the staff desk or the staff room about the residents, did this and fell and she hit him and this happened, or my coworker just screamed at me, so I'm gonna go scream in the hallway. That doesn't help. Let's pull it behind closed doors and work that out. So I need you to print, sign, and date, and you can turn that in at the end. And then, most of you, or some of you may know, that we are switching as of January 1st, our pension plan over to Cade Financial. So this is Aaron Cade. He's gonna talk to you a little bit about the process that is going to happen for the switchover. One thing I didn't say earlier is that if you currently are not in the pension plan, this is your only opportunity to get into it until next year's open enrollment. So if you think, oh, I can't afford that or whatever, just even consider putting in 1% for now. Because that gets you in the door, and then you'll have a chance to talk to Aaron later, and he can say, you know, this is what we could do with that, or, and if in a few months you're like, no, I need the paycheck, then that's okay. But we want to encourage you. He will be here on a monthly basis. You can meet with him. We really want to encourage you that if you're not in it and it's something that you're considering, and he'll say it, don't give up the free money. That you do it now, and we would really truly need that to Wendy by the end of the month to get you in there. So Aaron Cade, everybody.
Okay, thanks. And we're still gonna use the associated paperwork because technically the plan is still associated. So you would fill out the associated enrollment form if you've already got one, that's what we need. You know, obviously, I'll put this out there right away. I understand there's a conflict of interest here because if you put more money away, we make more. But if you put 1% away, and that happens to be $6, and there's a $6 match, we probably make 2 cents. So literally, this is way in your best interest compared to in my best interest. But it's the only place you can put money that I know of right now that it will double instantly. Because if you put 1% in, 1% gets matched. You do 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 3 is the max. So you can put up to 3% of your pay in, and it's pre-tax. So imagine if someone gives you, if they give you a raise of $10 a check, do you get $10 a check? No, you get like 7, right? After FICA and taxes, Fed and state. It's the same thing if you take $10 away, it probably only costs you 7. So $7 less than a paycheck, $10 gets put in, $10 gets matched, there's $20 in an account that it costs you $7 to put in. And if you don't save it, you know, I think we are all aware of the state of Social Security, that it's going to be there in some form or fashion, but it's going to be different for most of us that have 10 plus years before we can collect it. Okay? So how the process is going to work is you don't have to do anything. Everybody like that? I don't have to do anything if I have money in there. It will automatically, all of your assets that are in there will automatically be rolled over. But due to research that's been done in this field, we found that the average person underperforms their own investments by about 50%, because when they get a statement and it's down, which periodically happens, they get out and they make a bad decision. And then when it gets better, I'm going to get back in. That's called buying high and selling low. That's not how you make money. Due to the fact that most people do this, we are automatically defaulting everyone into what's called a target date fund. A target date fund is something that you never have to really look at. It's cruise control. You can put it in and know that as you get closer to retirement, it'll get more conservative because you have less time. If you're further away from retirement, it'll be more aggressive because there's less money in there and there's more time to make it up. If you absolutely love the funds that you're in and you sat down, maybe you have your own advisor, or you just like to listen to NPR and about Vanguard funds and you know all about this, you can elect to not be in the target date fund. Next week, the new accounts will all be set up at T. Rowe Price, and we have a handout here. Would you mind? Thank you. There you go. You can log in. We're thinking next Wednesday, everything should finally be set up. You can log in, and you can go in and make your elections. All of the funds are the same, except that we've added the target date fund. So all the same funds that you have are gonna be available on the new platform. But if you don't do anything, we're gonna put you into the target date funds because we know that for most people, it's going to be better than what you're currently doing because you're getting some advice. And it's based on your age, not just, I'm gonna look at the last, what do most people do? They look at the performance. This one's doing well, I want that one. Well, no, if it says it's up 10%, it means it's done well. It may or may not continue in the future. But that's how the average person, it's like driving by looking in the rearview mirror. You're probably gonna crash, okay? So, the process is, as of January 1st, all new contributions will go in there. I am available. Now, there's 200 people that may want to meet with me, and we have 13 calendar days. That's not gonna happen. So, in the event that you say, I think I do like my funds, but you don't have the time to come in and see me, or we just can't connect, we can do it after the fact. Once the money moves over in early January, we can always move it back in. There's no cost to do any of this. If there are any costs associated with transactions, that I foot that bill. It's from our firm. If there are ever any transaction costs, so you know that if I ever make a recommendation for you to move, it's not because we're gonna make money. In fact, we'll probably lose money if you do that. So obviously it's in your best interest. We prefer not to lose money either, okay? So target date fund conversion, I'm gonna be available, again, I can't stress it enough what Jeannie said, if you're not in, just get the 1%, because Bethel allows you to change anytime throughout the year your percentage. You can go up to 2 or 3 or 4. What I'm available to do is sit down individually with you and say, you are currently this age, you have this amount of money saved up. I'm not judging, ever. We're taking a snapshot and figuring out how can we make your financial future better. We're gonna take a snapshot and say, you'd like to retire at this age, and you'd like this amount of income, here's the plan, here's how you get